Hello, boys and girls. I am so glad you are able to join me today and do this lesson with me. All right, so our lesson for today, our standard that we'll be covering today is that describe character settings and major events in a story using key details. Now, remember, boys and girls, every time we look at the standard, the first thing we need to do is we have to deconstruct the standard. Deconstructing basically means that you have to look at each word and try to make sense of what is the standard is asking you to do. Because if you don't understand what is the standard is asking you to do, then you don't know what you're expected to do. So for today's lesson, the standard is describe character settings and major events in a story using key details. So the word describe means that you should be able to tell what it is. So what are you telling? You're telling about the characters, you're telling about the settings in the story, and you're talking about the major events in the story with some key providing some key details. All right. And our learning target is I can describe the characters in a story using key details. I can describe the settings in a story using the key details. And I also can describe major events in the story using the key details. Well, our lesson today is going to be just focus on character. Okay. So basically, we are just going to describe what the character is. I am not going to read the story, but first we have to understand what a character is. And that's all we're going to do for today. For today's lesson is to learn what the character is all about. All right, so characters are the people, animals, creatures in the story that do and say things. So a character can be people, a character can be a person, it can be an animal, it can be any creature. Sometimes even the things can be characters in the story because a good reader, when they're writing the story, they can use their imagination and they can make characters. They can bring the characters alive. Let's say, for instance, the Cars, the movie Cars. If you have seen the movie Cars, well, the character are basically cars. Now, do you think the car is an animal or a person? No, it's a thing. So, as a good reader and good writers, you can make character come alive. So you can even take a pen and you can make a character come alive, and in your story you can let the characters talk. Now, in the classroom, we read another story that is called The Day the Crayons Quit. Well, who are the characters in that story? Obviously, crayons. So, in a story, a character can be a person, it can be an animal, it can also be things. Uh, the main character is whom the story is mostly about. Okay. So when I'm writing a story, obviously I will have the main character, and I know it's a main character because the whole entire story is going to be based on that one particular character. And we're going to learn more about the main character and the supporting character. Okay. All right. So in some stories, there's only one character. And in some other stories, you will see that there are more than one character. In the story Cinderella, the main character is Cinderella because the whole entire story is about Cinderella. So Cinderella is the main character. And what are the supporting characters? The supporting characters were the mom and three sisters. Those were the supporting characters in the story. But the main character was Cinderella, obviously Cinderella. There are other characters in the story too, but the story is mostly about Cinderella. Now, the next thing we will be talking about is character traits. So basically, traits is nothing but how the character looks and how the character feels. So you should be able to look at the character and say, describe the traits about the character. So when we talk about the traits, we look at the character and see how the character looks. So it can be the physical characters, and a character sometimes can be a tall character, sometimes the character will be short, or sometimes the character can be fast, or sometimes the character will be slow. Now, if I think about a character that is slow and fast, immediately I think about the story of the turtle and the hare or the rabbit, where the rabbit was winning in the beginning, and then at the end, who won the race? Obviously, the turtle. So you know that there is a slow character, there is a fast character. Depends on the which story you're reading. Now, the character traits sometimes can be described by using the personality. Like, what kind of personality does the character have? So sometimes the character might feel happy, sometimes the character might feel sad, sometimes the character can be excited or mean or kind. So those are all the traits about the character. So here is a couple of the examples that we have here. A character can be nice, a character can be mean. Now, if I have to think about a character, remember the story that we read in the classroom, Stand Tall, Molly Lou Melon? In that story, the Molly Lou Melon was obviously the nice character, and the little boy who was bullying and constantly picking on her was the mean character. Now, can you think about more character traits that you could have? Yes, obviously, there can be more than one character trait. It doesn't have to be kind and mean. It can be sad. It can be excited. It can be um, like the character might sometimes feel lonely. So those are all the character traits. To help us understand characters in a story better, we should be able to compare and contrast. Now, we know what does compare and contrast means. When we are comparing, we're finding things that are same, and when we are contrasting, we're looking for things that are different. So over here, when you look at these two pictures, when I look at it, I need to find things that are same. So when I look at both of these pictures, I can tell that, here, let me move this. I can tell that both of them are animals. And that is when I'm comparing, I'm finding things that are same. So I can look at it and I can say, well, both of them are animals. And different about these animals is that the turtle is hardworking and the rabbit is lazy. Now, sometimes when you're reading a book, the character will not change. It will start as a happy character and it will end as a happy character. Is that going to be okay? Yes, absolutely fine. The character doesn't change. In the beginning of the story, the character is happy, and at the end of the story, the character is happy. And even in the middle of the story, the character is happy, which is absolutely not a problem. But sometimes the character starts off sad in the story, and then at the end, it is happy. Now, let's talk about the story of Stand Tall, My Little Melon. In the story Stand Tall, My Little Melon, obviously the character was happy in the beginning, and in the middle, it was sad, and at the end, she was happy again. Right? So, all the things that happened in the story made the character feel sad, and then at the end, it was happy back again. All right. So over here on this picture, you can see that the character is starting as a sad character, and then at the end, the character is happy. So that's in most of the stories, that's how it ends. The author wants you to get excited about something, so the character starts as a sad character, and a lot of things happen in the middle of the story, and at the end, because of the events, the character is happy at the end. Now, a character might start off scared in the story, and at the end, the character is brave. A character might start out slow, and at the end, it will become fast. Also, what do you think of a story that will be like if it did not have any characters? Now, imagine this is a story and there is no character. How do you think the story is going to be? Obviously, it will probably be pretty boring. We need to have good characters in our stories to keep the stories alive and move along. Otherwise, we will not be able to read it, right? So, do you think you understand what the characters are? Well, the characters can be a person, place. Sorry, a character can be a person, animal, or thing in the story. A character has the character traits. That means how the character looks from outside and how the characters feel inside. So if I have to describe a character trait, I can look at and say, oh, the character is fat, or the character is silly, the character is tall, or the character is short, character is small or big. But if I have to describe how the character is feeling inside, then I'm going to say, oh, the character is happy, or the character is excited, or the character is um, uh, sad because you will see the character is crying. So those are all the character traits um, that you can recognize when you are reading a story. So if you can keep these things in your mind, then you should be able to you should be able to recognize the story pretty well and understand the story pretty well. Because guess what good readers do? Good readers always makes the connection. So let's look at these example. What trait might describe these character? Do you think this character is yellow? Well, it doesn't look like yellow to me when I look at the picture. Do you think the character is cheerful? Well, when I look at the face, it does not look like cheerful for me. But I can tell that yes, the character is shy because look at the body, the way he is sitting. This kind of composure or this kind of view tells me, oh, this the character is shy. Right? So we were right. Let's go back and look at the next one. Choose the main character in the story, Gingerbread Man. Well, do you think the fox is the main character in the story? Well, obviously no, because the title of the story is The Gingerbread Man. Well, if the title of the story is Gingerbread Man, then the story is going to be about who? Obviously, the gingerbread man, not about the fox or not about the person, but it's going to be about the gingerbread man because that is the title of the story. And again, we were right. All right, so let's look at the next one. We have to click on two traits that are same about these two characters. All right, so when I look at these two characters, well, I need to find that are same. Well, I see that she's young and I see that she is a little bit old, so these can't be the same. How about old? Well, she's young and she's old, so obviously this is not going to be the same thing. But when I look at both the characters, I can see that okay, both of them are girls. So that is something that is same about both the characters. And both of them are people. So that is the same thing about both of these characters. All right, what trait might describe this character? Do you think this character is big? Well, it does not look big to me when I look at the picture. How about young? Well, yes, this is my option, but let me go ahead and look at the last one. The last one is fast. Now, do you think this character is fast? Well, I don't see it because the eyes are closed. So obviously, my choice is going to be young. All right, choose the main character in the story, Little Red Riding Hood. Well, obviously, the first one because I see the Red Riding Hood right here. Well, Fox is a character too, but the main character is what? The Little Red Riding Hood, because the title of the story tells you the Little Red Riding Hood. A good reader, remember what I told you? A good reader always makes a connection with the story. And over here, the title is Little Red Riding Hood. So obviously, the character is going to be this little girl, not the wolf and not the old lady. That's right. The Little Red Riding Hood is the main character. All right, now we need to look at this one, and this time we need to find two things that are different about both of these ladies right here. All right, so remember we're looking for things that are different. So when you compare and contrast, when you're contrasting, you're looking for things that are different. So obviously, she's a girl. Oops, no. Let's go back and look at the question again. It says, click on the two traits that are different about these characters. Old and young. There you go. So that's the old and she's young. Now, girls is the same because both of them are girls. We were looking at things that are different, not the same. What trait might describe these character? Strong, lazy, or silly? Now, always look at the picture. The picture always helps you to figure out what kind of character it is. All right, do you think he's holding a saw in his hand? So obviously that person is not lazy. So this is not my right answer. When I see he's dressed up, he has a hat, he has he the outfit he's wearing kind of tells me that he's getting ready to go to work because he has his tools in his hand. So do you think he is silly? Obviously not. He does not look like silly to me. But how about the strong? Yes, this will be the best option. The reason why I choose strong as my answer because you have to be strong in order for you to hold the saw and do your work. So I am going to choose strong as my answer. Remember, always look at the picture and the picture, analyze the picture. Okay, ask the questions to yourself. Is that what it is, looks like? When you look at it, then it will tell you, okay, this picture is telling me that the character is strong. All right, so that is our lesson for today. I hope you understood about how to recognize a character in the story.